Hello, this is Mimi Schlein. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about something that some people think is hard, and that is meter in poetry. I once read that studying meter in poetry is no harder than learning a simple game like chess. But to play chess really well, it's not necessarily that simple. So we're going to start with some questions. One of the questions we're going to talk about is why? Why do we want to study the meter in poetry? We want to understand the meter in poetry because we want to understand what kind of poem it is and what kind of meter is being used. So we call that prosody. Prosody is the study of meter in poetry. And we start by thinking about syllables only. We don't think about words. When we're writing the poem, we want our words to be meaningful, obviously, but when we're studying prosody, we're only talking about syllables. So the syllables we're talking about are ones that repeat themselves. There are groups of 2 and 3 feet, metrical feet, which repeat themselves. And when we're reading a poem and we start to see that something is repeating itself as far as where unaccented and accented sounds occur, then we start to realize there's a meter going on in the poetry. All right, so let's talk about something called the foot. A foot is a repeating combining of 2 or 3 syllables. So it's not a foot like on your feet. It's a foot that combines 2 or 3 syllables together. So we might think, and so there's 4 that I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about iambic, anapestic, dactylic, and trochaic meter, and how those things repeat themselves. Okay, so sometimes it's hard to hear it, but the people who seem like they do pretty well with it are the people who like music, like to hear a repeated rhythm, like to make themselves feel calm and expect something that is rhythmic and soothing to their ears, and that's sometimes what meter does. So the first one I'm going to talk about is iambic meter. So iambic meter is the repeating of an unaccented word with an accented word. Sorry, syllable. Unaccented, but in this case it's a word, but it could be a syllable. So if I push it and tell you how it sounds, it's going to sound like this. But soft, what light through yonder window breaks. I'm saying it a little harder than I would, but soft, what light through yonder window breaks. So of those syllables, I have to decide which ones would be the accented and which wouldn't, and when it starts to repeat itself. So normally when I speak, I wouldn't say but soft. But soft sounds strange. I would say but soft. And then which is stronger? What light or what light? What light through yonder window breaks. So, and the word yonder is broken in half. Maybe see it at the end there. And that's because there's 2 syllables in that word. We don't care about the word, we care about the syllables. And when we say the word yonder, we don't say yonder. That's how we know that the yon part of yonder is the accented part. So in this case, this is iambic meter. It's a rising meter, meaning that the syllables sounds soft and then hard, soft and then hard. So it also sounds like human speech more than some of the other meters, and it also can kind of replicate the sound of a heartbeat. Second one I'm going to talk about is also rising meter, where it goes soft, hard, soft, hard. This meter has 3 syllables in each foot. So soft, soft, hard, soft, soft, hard. It's called anapestic meter. Anapestic meter. And it sounds like this. It was many and many a year. So it was many and many a year. So the accented parts, there's 3 feet here because that's where they start to repeat. And when you're scanning a poem, you realize when it starts to repeat a sound, then that's where you might be able to scan it and delineate what those feet are. And with me, it sounds like music. It sounds like a gallop with anapestic meter, like da 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 da. And sometimes when you're writing anapestic meter or reading it, the poet will change to a spondee, which is two little arrows to make it change a little bit, so that we don't get tired of galloping for 12 lines or whatever. But if most of it is anapestic, then it's usually an anapestic meter. So da-da-da, 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 da-da-da. I'll go back to iambic for a second, just so you can hear that sound. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. That's the sound of iambic meter, because it's unaccented, then accented. Next meter I'm going to talk about is dactylic. Dactylic is a falling meter. That means that the accent is in the beginning, and then it gets softer, harder, softer, harder, softer. So, pussycat, pussycat, where have you been? And with been, it stretches into a rest. If you know anything about music, been just is, you're supposed to stretch it out, and it's a rest. But the main part of this is dactylic meter. Da 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 da. Da 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 da, and that's how dactyls sound. They sound almost like nursery rhymes, and they go da 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 da, and that's falling meter. It kind of sounds like a song sometimes. Trochaic meter sounds a little bit scary sometimes, not always, but I have an example that makes it sound scary. It also is a falling meter with the accent first and then the unaccent second. So the little lines are the accents, the little circles are the unaccented parts. Double, double, toil and trouble, cauldron burn, you probably know that rhyme. So it goes da 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 da, kind of like the Jaws song, the song in Jaws. It's a little bit scary sounding, and it's falling meter. It's used often in spells or things that are a little mysterious. Not always, but it is sometimes. So you have iambic meter, and iambic meter is a rising meter, da-da, 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 da-da. You've heard it in Shakespeare a lot. Da-da, 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 da-da. Then you have anapestic meter, which is also a rising meter. It was many and many a, what? It was many and many a year. Da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da. That's the galloping one, anapestic. Then you have, I said dactylic next, which is falling meter, and sometimes it sounds like nursery rhymes. There's other things that they use falling meter for too, but here's an example of a nursery rhyme. Pussycat, pussycat, where have you been? My life, your house is on fire and your children will burn. That's a different nursery rhyme, but it's still dactylic. All right, so it has one accent, two unaccent, one accent, two accent. Words don't matter. You can break the words. The only thing that matters is the syllables, the repeated syllables. Then we have trochaic. Now, did we already do that one? Trochaic, dactylic. Yeah, we did that one. All right, so we know iambs, we know anapests, we know trochees or trochaic, we know dactyls or dactylic. But now, how do we figure out what the poem is altogether? We have to count the feet. Counting the feet isn't too hard because they usually only go up to 8. Anything longer with a meter is getting too long, and there aren't very many of those. So we do it like this. 1 foot, if the line is only 1 foot, 3 syllables or 2 syllables, those are the possibilities. It's 1 foot, like, but soft. Let's say that's, and then it does it again, or it stops. Then it's 1 foot. But if it does it 2 times, it's dimeter. If it does it 3 times, it's trimeter. If it does it 4 times, it's tetrameter. If it does it 5 times, it's pentameter. If it does it 6 times, repeating 6 of these feet, it's hexameter. If it does it 7 feet, it's heptameter. Does it 8 feet, it's octometer. Don't see that as much either. But let's say I'm looking at this. So I count my feet. Was this the face that launched 1,000 ships? Well, I can see that I marked it like this because I can see that it's iambic pentameter because it goes da 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 da, and that's how it sounds. So that's where I mark it. There's 1 foot, there's another foot, there's another foot. Even though that word's long, they made it into just launched. They didn't say launched, or it would be 2 syllables. launched 1,000 ships. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Iambic pentameter. You probably heard of it. Pentameter was 5 feet. I counted the feet and there were 5. So peering over my page at you. So really the way I do it a lot of times is musically. I do it by thinking about the way it sounds. If it goes da 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 da, that's the galloping one. So that's anapestic. If it's dactylic, it's dactyls sort of sound like strumming a lyre. Da-dun, da-da-dun, da-da-dun. So, or pussycat, pussycat, da-da-dun, 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 da-da-dun. Or, let me see what else. If it was anapestic, this is the galloping one. Da-da-dun, 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 da-da-dun. It was many and many a year ago when I was happy and he was, I don't know, he was in the snow. But da-da-da, 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 I have a meter that is a galloping sound. So I hope that helped you a little bit with understanding meter.